There was one person who asked me, നീ ഇതൊക്കെ CA ഒക്കെ പോലെ ഒരു പ്രൊഫഷനൊക്കെ ചെയ്തിട്ട് ഇതൊക്കെയാണോ നീ ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നത്? When we started in 2014, like when we were talking to people about crypto, people were looking at us as some terrorist or some sort of hawala dealers or
private limited, sole proprietorship, public limited. ഈ ടേംസ് ഒക്കെ ഇപ്പൊ കേൾക്കുന്ന ആൾക്കാർക്കാണെങ്കിലും കുറച്ച് കൺഫ്യൂസിംഗ് ആയിരിക്കും. So let's break that down first, the registration part.
ഒരു പോയിന്റിൽ നമ്മൾ we were after NFT, then ഒരു പോയിന്റിൽ we were after metaverse,
now we are
then
behind
we are after
airdrops.
airdrops and all those, right? So I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs just keeping on building. After a cycle of 4 years, you will be like, I built 8 products, but did we reach anywhere with any of them? No.
Why don't we just break down the funding part? How can you fund, how can you get money?
Another major decision that you have to take is whether to raise from angels or from VCs, because both of them have a different agenda or a different goal when it comes to investing.
So I was reading this book recently. I'm still reading it. I'm like ഓരോ പേജ് എടുത്തിട്ട് ഞാനിങ്ങനെ ഓരോ പേജും ഒരു 2 തവണയെങ്കിലും വായിക്കും. പീറ്റർ തീലിന്റെ, അതായത് co-founder ഓഫ് പേപാൾ. അവർ 1.5 ബില്യൺ അവർ ഓൾറെഡി eBayക്ക് വിറ്റ് കഴിഞ്ഞു. സോ ആ ടൈമിൽ ആള് പഠിച്ച കാര്യങ്ങൾ എഴുതിയൊരു ബുക്കാണ് 0 to 1. And I recommend everyone to read it. അപ്പോൾ അതിലൊരു ചാർട്ട് പറയുന്നുണ്ട്, വെർട്ടിക്കൽ ഓർ ഇൻറ്റൻസീവ് പ്രോഗ്രസ്, അതല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഹൊറിസോണ്ടൽ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ എക്സ്റ്റെൻസീവ് പ്രോഗ്രസ്. ഈ ഹൊറിസോണ്ടൽ എക്സ്റ്റെൻസീവ് പ്രോഗ്രസ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഇന്ന് ഒരു ഗ്ലോബലൈസേഷൻ വേണമെങ്കിൽ എടുക്കാം. അതായത് ഒരു സമൂഹം വലുതാവുന്ന വേണമെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ, അതായത് ഓൾറെഡി ഉണ്ടാക്കി വെച്ചിരിക്കുന്ന ഒരു റൂട്ട് അതിനെ ഡ്യൂപ്ലിക്കേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നു. അതായത് വേണമെങ്കിൽ ഒരു പ്രിൻ്റർ നമ്മൾ മേടിക്കുന്നു, ആ പ്രിൻ്ററിന് ഒരു 100 എണ്ണം നമ്മൾ പ്രിൻ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നു, പിന്നെ ഒരു പ്രൊഡക്ഷൻ ചെയ്യുന്നു. അത് ഓൾറെഡി ഉണ്ടാക്കി വെച്ചിരിക്കുന്ന ഒരു പ്രൊഡക്റ്റാണ്, അതിനെ നമ്മൾ മൾട്ടിപ്ലൈ ചെയ്യുന്നു. ഈ വെർട്ടിക്കൽ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇൻറ്റൻസീവ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഒരു പ്രിൻ്റർ മേടിച്ചിട്ട് ഒരു വേർഡ് പ്രസ് ഉണ്ടാക്കുന്ന പോലെയാണ്. അതായത് ഇതുവരെ ആരും ഉണ്ടാക്കാത്ത ഒരു സാധനം ഡെവലപ്പ് ചെയ്യുന്ന പോലെ. So we both are at the current situation, we both are at the intensive progression. We are developing something that is not kind of zero existential in the world. So it's not an easy job, it's a very challenging journey. What is today's discussion is all about, we're going to delve into how we can register a company as a startup, how we can incorporate your company, and then you finding your co-founder, building your team, having a robust system, പിന്നെ അതുപോലെ ഫണ്ടിങ്ങും VCയും, പിന്നെ അതുപോലെ തന്നെ ഒബ്വിയസ്ലി എക്സിക്യൂഷനും, പിന്നെ ഹൗ യു ക്യാൻ ആക്ച്വലി എക്സിറ്റ് ആസ് എ ഫൗണ്ടർ. ഇത് പൊതുവെ ആൾക്കാർ ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്യാത്ത സാധനങ്ങളാണ്. ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്ത് പോയിട്ടുണ്ട്, ബട്ട് ഇറ്റ്സ് നോട്ട് സ്ട്രക്ചർ എനിവർ.
Correct.
So we are trying the best to structure the whole stuff, and it's going to be a very interesting discussion, and thank you so much for coming back again.
Thanks for having me again.
It's always my pleasure. How are you dealing with things these days? Because this is a very intensive progression that we are doing. So how are you dealing with things these days?
I think before we launched Bitsave, this is around end of 2022, I went through a process, a few months, where I was a full-time trader, right? So ഞാൻ full-time trader ആയതുകൊണ്ട് you have a different mindset. You're not focusing a lot on networking. True. Or it's a different mindset, it's a different lifestyle altogether, but that won't work as a CEO or a entrepreneur.
Agree.
Right. So I went through this for almost like 10 months where I shut down myself, as in I was off social media. I stopped attending, let's say like personal events. I started meeting people for the purpose of networking. I worked on my sleep schedule. I worked on my health. So I was putting in a lifestyle in place which I can sort of continue or I can adopt basically as an entrepreneur. So that process has been very helpful for me, because when we started building Bitsave, of course there are very difficult days, as entrepreneurs, because you're dealing with so much of uncertainty. But I recently heard, I think Kunal Shah mentioning this, as entrepreneurs or as founders, നമ്മളുടെ ജോലി is we are absorbing all the pressure, we are absorbing all the uncertainty, and our main job is to give our team that sense of security and certainty.
True.
So നമ്മളാണെല്ലാം absorb ചെയ്തിട്ട് we are dealing with the worst things that a company, for example, when I was doing my CA internship, something which I used to love was എനിക്ക് ബാലൻസ് ഷീറ്റ് ഉണ്ടാക്കാനൊന്നും I did not have a lot of interest, but ബാക്കിയുള്ളവർ ഉണ്ടാക്കിയിട്ട് you might have that 1 rupee difference, right? So I used to have that interest in going and figuring that out and fixing that. So that is exactly what we do right now also, right? We have a team, like both of us have our own teams. ഇപ്പോൾ അവർക്കൊരു ബുദ്ധിമുട്ട് വരുമ്പോഴായിരിക്കും അവർ വരുന്നത്, like how do we solve this problem? No one is calling you for the easy jobs, everyone needs you for the hard things that they can't figure out. So I think that process of putting me through that, especially focusing on the mindset aspect, reading a lot of new books, listening to a lot of successful entrepreneurs, so that helped me create a basic framework, like this is how my day should be, this is how my week should be. So right now, whenever I feel uncomfortable or whenever I feel under pressure, the first question I ask is, am I sticking to the basics? Like, am I going to bed on time? Am I getting up on time? Am I meditating every day? Am I working out every day? Am I following my diet? So these are my basic things, right? So I'm always like maybe a 24-hour away from going back to like a normal mode of extreme productivity. So I always have that template in my head, like my coach keeps telling me, it's always about, you should know where what you want to feel or where you want to go, so that you have total clarity. So since all those things have been in place, it's been not as difficult as it should be. But having said all that, things are, of course, there are days when you question a lot of things. There are days when you are stuck. But I always have a mentality of trying to figure out, I don't focus a lot on things that are not in my control. So endingilum, if it goes wrong, the first tendency is like, how do we solve that? I believe that every problem comes with a solution. It's all about figuring it out, right? So whenever there's a challenge, we've been able to figure the solution and execute it, very quickly. So far, I've not felt extremely ഒട്ടും എന്താ പറയുക, ഒട്ടും മുന്നോട്ട് പോകാൻ പറ്റാത്ത സിറ്റുവേഷൻ at least in the last 1.5 years Bitsave ഉണ്ടായിട്ടില്ല. I think the experience, almost a decade of experience before that, has also helped us tremendously. But to answer your questions, it's a team effort also, right? Like, true. And when you have people that you can trust, when you have people that is capable of handling multiple responsibility, they've made my job a lot easier. And one more thing is that we are very clear about what we want to do, as in we are not confused at any point in terms of which direction that we want to take. So because of that, the journey has been quite smooth so far, and whatever small challenges that have come up, we've been able to tackle. So honestly enjoying this journey as a founder, which is very new to me, because ഞാൻ എപ്പോഴും പറയും, as a trader you have no dependency. Like, I don't care about any person, right? Like I'm not waiting for someone to finish a job. I'm not we are not having a work environment, or we don't have to gel with each other. Nothing. Literally, you just sit wherever you want in the world, have an internet connection, have a laptop, you trade, right? Right now, you have to deal with the regulator, you have to manage a team, you have to look into hiring, you have to look into budgeting, costing, funding. But I'm enjoying it, honestly. And I think, the result is not in our hands, right? It's always important that you enjoy the process. And as a team also, I think we are pretty much doing that so far, yeah.
So these days people used to ask me, how are you doing, Mirza? I used to say that I'm in excellent spirit. How is your entrepreneur journey is going? I'm enjoying that pain. So I think it's very relatable. ഇടയ്ക്ക് ചിന്തിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്, ഈ ഓൺടർപ്രണേഴ്സ് മൈൻഡ് സെറ്റ് എന്താ ചില സമയത്ത് ഒരുപോലെ ഫീൽ ചെയ്യുന്നത്. ഈവൻ വെൻ യു ഷെയർ യുവർ അപ്രോച്ചസ് ആൻഡ് ഓൾ, ഐ ഫീൽ ലൈക്ക്, ഓക്കെ, ദിസ് ഇസ് ഈവൻ ദ സെയിം അപ്രോച്ച് ദാറ്റ് ഐ ഓൾസോ ടേക്ക്. So it's not something that is non-existential. It's existing already. By talking of the existential, I think there are books that can teach you about 30 mistakes of entrepreneurs, 30 mistakes of the biggest downfall of business and all. But is there a book that talks about 30 mistakes of Web3 entrepreneurs specifically? I don't think there is.
I think we have to write one.
Yeah, we can in time we can actually write.
Yeah, it's a good thing about the mistakes. I feel that, you know, for someone to be successful, for a business especially to be successful, a lot of things have to fall in place. You know, it's not just about doing one thing right. This n number of factors, you know, need to fall in place for you to reach where you want to reach. But it could be just one mistake that can potentially take you down, right? So I think as a trader also, there's something which I learned over time, that it's not really about focusing on the profits, it's about minimizing the loss, you know, which makes a difference in the long run. So it's the same you know, philosophy you have to apply here also. Like whenever you make a decision, whenever you make a step forward, you know, don't do something that can ruin the business as a whole, or it shouldn't lead to a point where you are, you know, you are putting everything at stake, right? So ഇപ്പം നമുക്ക് ഇപ്പോൾ ഒരാളുടെ ഒരു സക്സസ്ഫുൾ ഒരാളുടെ ജേർണി കുറേ വായിച്ചിട്ട് മേ ബി വി കാൺ റെപ്ലിക്കേറ്റ് ഇറ്റ്, റൈറ്റ്? ബിക്കോസ് ദർ സോ മെനി ഫാക്ടേഴ്സ് ലൈക്ക് റൈറ്റ് പ്ലേസ്, റൈറ്റ് ടൈം, ആൻഡ് ഐ തിങ്ക് ദ മോസ്റ്റ് അണ്ടർ റേറ്റഡ് ഫാക്ടർ ഇസ് luck. It's also about it plays a huge role, that's what I believe. But so we can't replicate successful journeys, but if you read about the mistakes, you can avoid them, which makes a lot of difference in your journey, right? So I think maybe one of us should, you know, sit down after a few years and write 30 mistakes of Web3 entrepreneurship.
I've been talking about the direction and the journey. See, the journey, I don't really think that I started this journey because I wanted to start my company. It actually happened. It eventually happened.
Organic, right?
Exactly. So it's purely a journey. It's not that, okay, let me start a startup. It's not just like that. So everything comes together. Like മറ്റേ വളരെ ഫേമസ് ആയ ഒരു കോട്ടില്ലേ, അതായത് if you truly genuinely wants to achieve something, the whole universe will conspire in helping you achieving it, which is absolutely true.
It is.
I felt most of the time I felt that ഇതൊക്കെ എവിടെന്നാ വരുന്ന ഈ ഹെൽപ്പ് ഒക്കെ. Whenever I want something, people will come to me and people will give me, including yourself. So when I want to solve some problems, people will come and help me out. So that happens to me very often, and I feel like so blessed all the time.
I mean, it's interesting. Like ഇപ്പോൾ organic journey, even ഇപ്പം ഞങ്ങളുടെ കേസ് ആണെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിലും we had no clue about, you know, like when we started in 2014, like when we were talking to people about crypto, people were looking at us as, you know, some terrorist or some sort of hawala dealers, or you know, illegally. And I was doing CA, right? So there was one person who asked me, നീ ഇതൊക്കെ CA ഒക്കെ പോലെ ഒരു പ്രൊഫഷനൊക്കെ ചെയ്തിട്ട് ഇതൊക്കെയാണോ നീ ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നത്? And from there, you know, you become full-time traders, you work with some of the big exchanges, and then you realize a problem, right? Because of our experience, we realize that people need help, you know. People are making mistakes about in terms of managing the portfolio themselves and all that, and then we felt, okay, we are the right people equipped to solve that problem, and that is how Bitsave was happening, right? So it's a journey. It's not that one day we decided decide to build Bitsave. So and that's what I always tell people, you know, and now we have that core competency, you know. Ipo naale oralu varumbulum we have that experience, we have that journey in our hand, and because of that we'll be able to move faster. We'll be able to ipo kore trial and error it may not be required for us, because we've already seen, let's say I want to set up a banking channel. I already know like which bank supports crypto, which bank doesn't. So I don't have to go and figure it out, right? So, and who is the right person to call for any accounting purpose, legal purpose. So there's so many things that you get because of the time that you spend in the industry, and I'm pretty sure it's the same for you also, right? Because people say, right, that network is your net worth, right? So the years that you spend in the industry figuring things out, it'll eventually help you, and it will be one of your differentiators innovator, like as a founder, when competition starts kicking in, right?
Correct.
So yeah, I think people should look at, let's say, maybe not jumping in right away. It's also about spending some time figuring out, knowing more about what you want to do, and
I think it happens naturally. It's not that you can't force things to happen.
It can't.
So entrepreneurship is not something that you can force from yourself. And okay, I want to become an entrepreneur.
Support it's I believe in miracles, like honestly. And when we started Bitsave, we launched Bitsave, or we started building Bitsave like 2 weeks after FTX collapse. Okay. And that we wanted to do it, like we wanted to start the work as close to the bottom as possible. We were thinking 15K range might happen last year, but because of FTX collapse, it happened in November 2022. And literally no VCs wanted to touch crypto. Like everyone was just running away. Right now we get meetings, but 1 year back we didn't even get meetings. People were like, "You're building in crypto. Why are you even building in crypto?" So that was the and there was a point where we did get some initial funding, and after a point we were figuring out right how to scale or how to continue basically. And നമുക്ക് വന്നൊരു തോട്ടാണ്, people were loving the product, whoever is using the product, they were absolutely loving the product. And they're like, let's keep a simple card in the home page saying that we are raising, whoever is interested, contact us. And we raised almost like $40,000 just from our users or just from our clients. So they were like, we love the app. I still remember the first person who put the money. This version goes live with this particular card. He signs up on the app. He deposits, he invests. He absolutely loved it. And in 10 minutes he messages me. So this card directly takes them to my WhatsApp. He texts me saying that I want to invest in the company, $10,000. I was like, we have a contract, just go through it. Like, yeah, send it to me. I'm pretty sure he did not even go through the contract because, of course, going through it at least takes, maybe 10-15 minutes. In the next 2 minutes, he's like, send me your USDT address. I want to put money, right? So I don't even know him. I didn't even pitch anything to him, right? But at that point in time when we needed help the most, this person comes and, I believe that angels are truly angels, that way, right? Correct. So, it's been, and even when our latest angel he was CTO of Zeppe, his name is Mahin. Okay. And currently he's building Liminal, which is a licensed custody solution for exchanges. We met at a breakfast table. Like, I didn't even go to meet him. Like, we were having breakfast, and he comes to meet the other person whom we were speaking with. He talks to us for 10 minutes about what you're building, and he's like, I'll put money, So I don't even know, like, it's all about when you genuinely is trying to do something, or trying to solve a problem with so much of passion. You're putting literally everything that you have into it, and and then you see these people coming out of nowhere and just helping.
I take your words. Angels are genuinely, they are angels. They come and help you out. Even I still remember going for my first. So at some point I felt that okay, I need help. I need proper help from a proper entrepreneurs. Angane I went to this guy and I told him that okay, now I'm stuck, I need help. And they told me to come tomorrow. Okay, I went to them. So all I had in my mind is that I want to onboard him as my advisor. And eventually the whole entity came to our board as investors. So they found something in the product, and then literally I had to go and I had to pitch the whole company and idea. And ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ അന്ന് എൻ്റെ കയ്യിൽ ആകുന്ന സ്റ്റോറി മാത്രമേ ആയിരുന്നുള്ളൂ, not even an active product or a product to sell. Taking one step back, when you mentioned about the crypto element, that when we tell people that I'm doing crypto, I still remember that I started from my rock bottom. So growing up from that particular zero zone in your face, like people will see that okay, this guy is ended already and now he won't grow. So overnight they are seeing me buying new bikes, new cars, and life is going good for me, and spending good money and taking care of everybody. So my aunties, uncles, they'll not come and ask me directly. They'll go and ask my friends, say, what is he doing? He's doing some crypto thing. So ആൾക്കാർക്ക് അറിയില്ല ഇത് എന്താ സംഭവം എന്നുള്ളത്. രജിസ്ട്രേഷൻ്റെ കാര്യം പറഞ്ഞപ്പോഴാണ് ഞാൻ ക്രിപ്റ്റോ ട്രൈബ് രജിസ്റ്റർ ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട് ഒരിക്കലൊരു ഓർഗനൈസേഷൻ്റെ അടുത്തേക്ക് പോയി. എനിക്ക് രജിസ്റ്റർ ചെയ്യണം. അപ്പോൾ അവർ പറഞ്ഞു ഇതൊക്കെ വലിയ തലവേന പിടിച്ച പരിപാടികളാണ്, നീ ഇതൊന്നും ചെയ്യാൻ നിൽക്കരുത്, അങ്ങനെയാണ് മറ്റാന്ന് മറിച്ചത്. കാരണം അത് ബെയറണിൻ്റെ ഒരു തുറക്കായിരുന്നു, FTX-നൊക്കെ മുമ്പായിരുന്നു. സോ ഐ ഫെൽറ്റ് ദാറ്റ് ഓക്കെ ഇഫ് they don't want to do it, then there is no way that I can register it. So അങ്ങനെ ഒരു after a 3-month crypto tribe was left alone because crypto tribe register ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റിയില്ല. And the tribe academy idea came to my mind. Okay, now I think my community is growing. I think I should bring in more educators. I can't be the face of crypto tribe, so I have to make a stage for my educators. So educatorsനുള്ള stage ആയിട്ടാണ് tribe academy build ചെയ്യുന്നത്. It's not for my brand. It's for other people to come and teach and share their perspective. So I got along with a few creators and I thought okay, let's do this. So അന്ന് വെസിറെക്സിൻ്റെ ഒരു കേരള വാരിയർ ഗ്രൂപ്പ് ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. ആ ഗ്രൂപ്പിൽ നിന്ന് കുറച്ച് എഡ്യൂക്കേറ്റേഴ്സിനെ വെച്ചിട്ട് 10 പേരെ നമ്മൾ സെലക്ട് ചെയ്തിട്ട് ഈ 10 പേരെ വെച്ചിട്ട് ഒരു 7 days വർക്ക്ഷോപ്പ് നമ്മൾ കണ്ടക്ട് ചെയ്തു. Then I realized that there are people who are very smart in this domain. I have to give them a space. Then Tribe Academy idea came. Then I went to few people to register. അവരൊന്നും സമ്മതിച്ചില്ല. കാരണം ഇവർക്കൊന്നും അക്കൗണ്ടിങ് അറിഞ്ഞൂടാ, രജിസ്ട്രേഷൻ ഫോർമാറ്റ് അറിഞ്ഞൂടാ, എന്ത് ചെയ്യണം എന്ന് അറിഞ്ഞൂടാ. അങ്ങനെ ഇവഞ്ച്വലി അറ്റ് സം പോയിന്റ് ഐ ഫെൽറ്റ് ഹെൽപ്ലെസ് ആൻഡ് ഐ ഫെൽറ്റ് വൺ ഫ്രണ്ട്, ഹിസ് നെയിം ഇസ് ഷാഹിൻ. അപ്പോൾ ആള് സോഷ്യൽ മീഡിയയിൽ ഗ്രോ ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്ന ഒരു സമയം, ഒരു ബിസിനസ് കൺസൾട്ടൻ്റാണ്. സോ ഐ മെറ്റ് ഹിം അറ്റ് കൊച്ചി. ഹി ടോൾഡ് മീ ദാറ്റ് യു ഗോ ബിഹൈൻഡ് പ്രൈവറ്റ് ലിമിറ്റഡ് കമ്പനി രജിസ്ട്രേഷൻ, യു ഗെറ്റ് ഇറ്റ് ഡൺ. അങ്ങനെ അന്ന് പിറ്റേ ദിവസം പോയിട്ട് അയാൾ തന്നെ വേറെ കോൺടാക്ട് തന്നു. ദെൻ ഐ കംപ്ലീറ്റഡ് ദ ഹോൾ രജിസ്ട്രേഷൻ വിത്തിൻ എ വീക്ക്. The whole thing is done. And he came to me and he told me all the stuffs even without me asking for it. So I think ഈ പ്രൈവറ്റ് ലിമിറ്റഡ്, സോൾ പ്രൊപ്രൈറ്ററിഷിപ്പ്, പബ്ലിക് ലിമിറ്റഡ്, ഈ ടേംസ് ഒക്കെ ഇപ്പോൾ കേൾക്കുന്ന ആൾക്കാർക്കാണെങ്കിലും കുറച്ച് കൺഫ്യൂസിങ് ആയിരിക്കും. സോ ലെറ്റ്സ് ബ്രേക്ക് ദാറ്റ് ഡൗൺ ഫസ്റ്റ്, ദ രജിസ്ട്രേഷൻ പാർട്ട്.
So I think നമുക്ക് currently if you want to start there are few options, right? One is sole proprietorship is not very suited if you want to build a company, as in it is just you know,
just self-employment.
It's just self-employment, so you can't raise funding and all those things are not there. The easy way to get started, let's say you immediately want to begin, maybe an LLP, limited liability partnership, might be a way, because compliance comparatively korvana, like the requirements that you have is lower compared to like a normal company. So if you want to get started, maybe in a week or so you will get it done, or maybe less than that. Cost is also, I think, comparatively lower.
Recurring cost is also very low.
It's lower. The advantage of an LLP is that once you grow, let's say you build something, you build an MVP out, and then whenever you start looking for funding, you can always convert it to a private limited company. So you can do the groundwork or whatever initially that you want to set up. The few people that you hire, you can employ them with the LLP, and once you want to take off, you can convert it and then start raising funds. Because auditing requirements allanundengi baaki kore MCA requirements, I'm talking very specific to India right now. We can go global also, but in India this can be a easy path. And then you raise the funds for the Indian, or let's say the private limited entity, and it's not very difficult these days, honestly. There are multiple online poi kayinja, you have a lot of these portals, you have a lot of these like maybe compliance and help and registration help. A lot of startups are there right now who can help you with any of these registrations that you need. Then you might have to get into the whole GST registration and a few other employment registration, things like that, which is law of the land basically. When you're doing business in India, നമ്മൾ ഫോളോ ചെയ്യേണ്ട കുറച്ച് കാര്യങ്ങളുണ്ടല്ലോ, so you have to follow that. So I think the best thing is maybe go to, പണ്ടൊക്കെ നമ്മൾ ചെയ്തിരുന്ന you go to a CA that lives nearby, right? But right now it's not really required. Like you have a lot of options, and these people give you the services at a much cheaper cost as well, because they have a lot of orders coming in, right? അപ്പോൾ ഇപ്പം നമ്മുടെ നാട്ടിലൊരു CA ചാർജ് ചെയ്യുന്നതിനേക്കാൾ maybe they charge you comparatively maybe half, like 50% of what typically is charged to us. One of the requirements is maybe you need to have an office space, so and right now that is also sortable, right? Because you have virtual offices in place, so you don't really have to rent out the entire space for you. So I think we have a lot of things in place right now. You can just maybe you go to a beehive, or we work for that matter. You get an office, then you start the registration process, get it done in a week. Then you apply for GST if you are providing service or whatever. And even for GST, there's a 20 lakh threshold. I mean, only after you cross.
If you cross that cap, only you'll have to.
But there are certain types of services where you have to do it, mandatorily. But most cases it's not required. So you basically these are the main checklists. So it's always good to have someone, like a consultancy that is taking care, because on top of this there are this filings, that filings, like DSE comes into picture, MCA filings are there, IT filings are there, GST filings are there, and only if someone experienced or a team can, it'll be very difficult for you to keep up with all these things, right? If you're trying to keep a track of everything yourself. So better you get it done from a consultancy, and then maybe get into a 1-year contract with them or something of that sort, so that they'll help you with literally everything, going ahead. Keep checking the cost. Especially ഞാൻ കണ്ടിട്ടുള്ള കാര്യം, maybe they offer you a very small price for the initial setup, right? Then you're with them. Then they start selling you everything else at a higher cost. So talk to them about ഇപ്പോൾ ഒരു 1 year whatever cost is gonna come. Have a full picture. What are the kind of costs that you are expecting for 1 full year, and maybe compare based on that instead of just the registration price, because ആൾക്കാർ attract ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് they might start giving you the lowest to start with, then they'll start charging you a lot. So have that conversation upfront, ആരാണെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിലും, so that you don't have any unpleasant surprises in the future, basically. But yeah, I think over the years it has become extremely easy to get started. Since you mentioned public is nothing but a private company going, let's say you getting listed on a stock. That is when you become public. But we don't really have to get there as a startup, right? It's always the best is private, but you can in fact start as an LLP, to take things off very quickly. If you want to talk about international, so ഇപ്പോൾ കുറേ companies, especially in Web3, we have a tendency to put them outside India. That is primarily because of the regulatory concerns that people have, like, because India we don't have clear guidelines on how to run a crypto entity or any crypto business for that matter. And even funding ആണെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിലും, because of some of our rules, ഇപ്പോൾ മറ്റേ നമ്മൾ പുറത്തുനിന്നുള്ള ഇൻവെസ്റ്റേഴ്സിൻ്റെ അടുത്ത് നിന്ന് ഫണ്ടിങ് റേസ് ചെയ്യുകയാണെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ഇറ്റ്സ് എ ബിറ്റ് ട്രിക്കി ഫോർ ദെം to invest into an Indian company and then take the money out from India. So they also prefer investing in maybe a non-Indian or അവർക്കും കൂടി ഇത്രയും കൂടി സേഫ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇത്രയും കൂടി ഫേവറബിൾ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ടാക്സ് റൂൾസ് ബേസിക്കലി, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഫോറിൻ എക്സ്ചേഞ്ച് transactions. So we have seen a lot of people going and registering a company in Singapore, and I believe now Dubai is also picking up, becoming like a major destination for crypto companies, because corporate tax is low. You have a good ecosystem there of let's say of service providers to help you with, and even government initiatives are there. I feel like last week I got a call from Ras Al Khaimah. The government has launched sort of a digital, let's say, I think they're calling it digital oasis. So any company can go and set up there, and then they'll give you the license to provide any Web3 services. Right. So that is another option that people have. Also, again, you have to look at the cost, because India il ipo oru 10,000 രൂപയ്ക്ക് company registration നടക്കും. There you're talking about 2 lakhs or 3 lakhs, right?
True.
So that is, again, even ബാക്കിയുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങൾക്കും there will be additional cost if you're abroad. But think about what you are doing, right? And അത് ഇപ്പോൾ ഒരു regulatory ഒരു ചാലഞ്ചിങ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള കാര്യമാണ്. Or do you want to raise funds from people outside India? Do you want to expand globally? So based on that, take a call. So let's say if you're running an Indian exchange, maybe you can be in India, right? But if you're building a global brand, then it makes sense to think global, because you have the network is also gonna be it's easier to tap into a larger network if you're outside India, all that, right? So these are the major things that you can.
And don't you think that people are more often stuck at one point that they want to have office, have an address, then go for the registration, and so the whole process is not like that. So it's like, see, you go with the flow. That's what I have done. I believe that
flow,
ഇപ്പോൾ ഈ ഓഫീസ് സ്പേസ് റെൻ്റ് ഔട്ട് ചെയ്യാന്നൊക്കെ പറയുമ്പോൾ നമുക്കൊരു ഓഫീസ് സ്പേസ് വേണ്ടേ, അതിനകത്ത് റെൻ്റ് ആവില്ലേ. സോ വി ക്യാൻ ഗെറ്റ് ആസ് സ്മോൾ ആസ് 1,000 or even less than 1,000 rupees for a virtual office per month. So you will have an address, okay, you can call it as your office, and then you can go with this any sort of registration, either LLP or private limited, if you want to build or scale up the business.
Correct.
If you really want to make money for yourself, then I think sole proprietorship will work for you. But again, if you want to hire people, or you want to have a co-founder or share in your company, I think LLP and private limited, and on top of which public limited will also come. So when it comes to registration, finding office space, sorted out. And when it comes to having a team, co-founding team, that is another headache. I would really call it, I usually don't call anything headache, but this is going to be a headache, because having the right people around you is the best thing that any entrepreneur can think about. So think if there is one person joining your team, and if that one person can become poisonous, the whole organization is done, like sorted out. They won't survive anymore. So it's always about having that right people around you, and I think we both are pretty lucky in that matter.
So Inikku personally, I feel extremely lucky, because I'm working with people that I respect, people that have mutual respect, like Angadu, and we have that shared vision, right? Monetary part is secondary for literally the entire core team that we have. Like everyone is aligned on what we want to achieve as a brand, and to have to have people that you can trust, and our culture wise also, to be in sync within the team. It doesn't mean that you won't have any differences in opinions, but you know how to respectfully sort out those differences, right? Do you actually know what is the biggest reason for startup failures?
I think it's because of the team or the co-founder.
It's a founder breakup. That is founders breaking up. So I think especially in the last few years, I've seen a lot of the culture of you go into a coffee shop, meeting someone, and tomorrow deciding to build a company, starting up, right? I personally believe that your relationship with the co-founder is equally important as something like your relationship with the spouse, right? Because you both are, on one side you're building a family, on one side you're building a company,
you're marrying into an idea
exactly. So it's not just about your skill that matters. It's a lot more than that. It's all about how culturally you are aligned, how mindset wise how you're aligned, and different people have different types of running a business. Like there's a way I want to build a business, and someone whom I extremely like may want to build his business in a different way. So we both coming together will not make any sense. Just because we are good friends doesn't mean that we'll be able to build a good business together, because we'll have different mindsets, different ways of getting things done, and eventually it leads to problems, just like relationships. When you start, you'll be like, it's okay, it's just one small,
so there will be a honeymoon period, and after that you will start to understand the pulp of the business.
It's not practical, right? If you're staying and building something together with someone for 5-10 years, adjust cheyaanu parayunna is a very difficult thing to do. Like, you have to be in sync. You can maybe adjust for 1 year, 2 years, but after that a balloon will burst.
Yeah, it will burst.
So I think even though a lot of these incubators give you a co-founder, you have to be very, very careful. Like, I think you have to spend a lot of time understanding not just their business goals or business views, but a lot of personal things as well, how their values are aligned, how their interests are aligned. So it's a very difficult thing, and obviously, just like any other relationship, people also change over time. So it's also about how you keep adapting to that change and starting to let's say respect each other's decisions and accepting differences, right? So many factors come into play, but I personally believe that I would say we care a lot of about the culture, because there's a certain way that we want to scale the business. We don't want to it's a very high risk product that we're building. So because of that, we can't be in a position where we sell things forcefully, give like wrong promises and get people in. So we look for people who are aligned in terms of the values that we have, and on the skill side, you also need to look at people who can complement each other. For example, what I look for right now, when there's a few spots that are vacant to be filled, what we look for is people who has the skill set that we don't have. Right? What is the point of hiring someone who already have who has the skill that we already have? So you need to fill in the right spot. So as a business, you need to identify what kind of skills that the core team needs to have. And then you try to identify those people who can come on board, fill in those gaps, and work together as a team by giving in their expertise or their knowledge of their skill set in different departments, right? And maybe not every company needs a CTO, for that matter, right? Like you running a marketing agency, I don't think you're not building up unless you have something in mind, but otherwise not every company needs a CTO. Not every company might need a product person. So it all depends on what you are going to build eventually. So depending on that, identify the key areas and then look for people, and not just look for the skills. See, if you are let's say a support level, or not seeing anything, any part of the business in an inferior way, but I think it's very important that you have the core team in place. You can't control everything, let's say if you grow to 100 member team, you can't control every person, right? But at least you should, as a founder, you should have some sort of a control over the core team, and also make sure that they are coming in for the long term. I think what is very important is that as individuals, we need time to understand the vision of the company, and then to start giving the company the best. I don't think we can start doing it right from day one. Typically it's like 2 years you spend in a company, and that is when you start giving your absolute best to the company. But if you actually look at it, 2 to 3 years is the average time people stay in a company, right? And one of the good examples that we have is Aroda, right? Like, because their core team has stuck over the last 10, 15, whatever number of years. They've stuck with that single vision, and because of that, it compounds, right? Like people talk a lot of compounding of money, but I also believe compounding of skills, compounding of that that relationships, everything matters at the end of the day. So the more you stay, the more you stay the better it is, right? So you need to look for people who are coming for the long haul. So I recently was listening to Zerodha founder, and he interestingly said that people who come for money will leave for money.
Yeah.
Got it. Like, so it's important that to make sure that they're coming for the vision, and of course money is important. I'm not saying that it is not, but if you can find people who see that as a secondary thing, but mostly look at building something that can make an impact or makes a difference, or who has that passion for or vision for what you are building, I think that will do good for the business in the long run. Because see, whenever someone leaves, on paper it's easy to replace that person with someone new, but that's not the case culturally, and it takes a lot of time for the new person to fit in, and if that is a misfit, then again there's a lot of other hassles that comes right? So always better that you get people who stays with you for long term.
I think communication also plays a very vital role in this.
A lot of people oversell,
like every relationship.
A lot of people, founders oversell. They're like, we are going to disrupt this in the next 2 years, but maybe, so people also, employees will also maybe coming with wrong expectations, right? So don't oversell. Don't promise them things that you can't really give them, so that you set the expectations right. You know that you're playing the long game, not really for the next 6 months or 1 year, right? So
even if you're agreeing something to someone, especially to your team member verbally, I think it is better to put it on paper and do it properly from the beginning. And that is where we founders in the beginning struggled a lot. We find that, okay, this relationship is going good. We kind of miss out that part. And that is where I also put a little, I mean, for sure, I put a little effort into that also, documenting the every steps from the beginning in paper.
Like, we also always have to put company, first, right? So from the perspective of the company, you all are, working for the company. So you always have to think about the longevity of the business at the end of the day. So things can always go wrong between individuals. So at that point, having everything in place, having a contingency plan, having on paper what you're going to do when things go wrong, so that everybody is on the same page. Like tomorrow, it will not come to a point where someone comes and tell you that, you said that, and then you're like, no, that is not what I said. But if you have everything on paper, you save the company also from a lot of legal hassles that can also potentially happen later on. So don't really overlook that. I think it's extremely important to, even if you spend some money or effort, it can be a standard document that you can have, right? You can just duplicate to everyone that is coming on board. Right, so all those things will definitely help you, because I think especially when you start a company, you're super optimistic, right? You just got the next big idea, and you found someone who was aligned with you on that, and you're like, okay, we're gonna do this, right? But you never know what's gonna happen tomorrow. So
I still remember talking to one of my team member that, okay, we're gonna get some fund to build the company. So he eventually asked me, do we really need money to build this company? So it's that funding segment is, it's a new league for most of the entrepreneurs.
Correct.
They feel like, okay, you get 1 crore, you get 10 crore, your company is valued around 5 billion. Elon Musk is 600 million, billion and all stuff. See, that is like in paper. It's like a paper money. But that actually can push the whole company further and propel the whole team, the whole system, and make the whole core team richer in the process. So that funding is still a big taboo, or I don't know how to call it. I don't know how to rephrase it, but people still feel that funding is not necessary. It's a lot of obligation that comes along with it. Of course it is. But it is necessary to get funded because money is a tool. And things that come along with that fund, it's absolutely gonna change the game.
And it's also important whom you take the money from as well, right? Like, I think we constantly see about founders being kicked out after raising couple of rounds, because you see, basically whenever you bring someone on to your cap table, you're letting go of some equity or
Your
some
company,
control
of course.
basically.
Yeah,
So
correct.
there will be a point where someone else have more control over the company that you founded, right? So it's very important that again,
why don't we just break down the funding part?
Yep,
Like
yep.
how can you fund, how can you
Yeah.
get money?
I think going back to the team building process again, you have to start thinking from the perspective of the company.
Yeah.
And you have to think whether the company need funds in the first place. Like your friend might be right in asking you, do you really need money? Let's say if you're a business that is making money from month one, if you have good revenue, if you're able to pay your bills and take some money home, then it's a genuine question, right? Why do you want to get someone on the cap table, sell some percentage, and then see? In the end, it comes down to how much, what your vision for the company is, and
how big you want to
how
grow.
big you want to dream, how big you want to grow. So, for example, in our case, right, there was this huge debate that we still have, like whether to bootstrap this or raise external funding. Now we are at a point where we are going to apply for licenses in multiple jurisdictions, and you need to show them that you have this much of bank balance. It's a requirement for us. It's not an option where we say that okay, we'll somehow manage this ourselves, but because when you're getting into a regulated business, the regulator also wants you to be financially stable as a company, because if someone is putting in money tomorrow, it shouldn't be a position where 2 months down the line we are like, okay, we are out of money, right? So it depends on whether the business requires money, A, for all these regulatory reasons, 2, let's say you want to scale the business, right? Like you want to duplicate. Let's say you are running maybe a e-commerce in one particular city, and you're doing extremely well. So let's say you want to duplicate your business in different cities, then it makes a lot of sense to raise funds. Or let's say you are at full capacity in terms of, let's say you're like, I have 10 people working for me right now. If I have 20 people, I can, make more money, right? Make more profits basically. Then it makes sense to raise money and then hire more people. So it comes down to, the business need, whether the business actually need money at that point in time. And if you don't want, it's completely fine. If you want, I guess the next question is from whom do you want to raise the funds? Right?
And the stages of funding, like from pre-seed, seed, and goes on like that.
So pre-seed and seed these days is mostly, it's very some people do seed, some people do pre-seed. You can call it whatever you want, right? And now I guess we also have a new term of pre-series A and all those things. It's just about calling it, so pre-seed is typically friends and family around, or maybe angels for that matter, where you just have the idea, nothing else. Like you have decided you have this much of expertise or whatever, and you want to start a company. So pre-seed, you should typically look at having money to register and build an MVP, and then maybe another 6 months of runway after
break down MVP.
MVP is minimum viable product. That is literally the first version of your product. If you're building something, if you're building an app or something for that matter, it should be able to showcase what you want to build, and it should also be able to onboard some users and then give them a look and feel of what you want to build. So MVP, build the MVP, get some traction into it, and then look for your seed round. Seed round is typically that 0 to 1 journey. Right now you're talking about 0.1 to 0, right? Now seed should help you to scale from that MVP to like a proper product. And once you reach there, it's then there's something called PMF, product market fit, where it reaches a point where you have users, who value what you've built, and it has some sort of a significance in their life. As in, let's say, it may not be easy for them to do carry on what they're doing without your product tomorrow. That is where you realize ki, okay, there's a proper fit that you found for your product in the market. At that point is when you look for Series A, where you really want to scale your business. Like, now you're sort of established as a brand, and now you look for scaling. Let's say scaling to different jurisdictions, scaling the team, and then after that it all becomes your a need-based thing. Like, let's say there are companies, I guess they've gone to do like Series D, E, F and all that, because at some point you might need more money to maybe spend on advertisements and a lot of other things as well, right? Basically market expansion. So then it becomes a choice as well, like what the speed at which you want to grow and all those factors. But typically anyone who is starting, I think you just have to focus on the pre-seed to get you started, and the seed for the next couple of years where you building the brand as a whole. Now coming back, typically, like I said, you start with angels and friends and family, whoever is ready to support you. And then for seed, you can either go to, so whenever you raise funds, you have to keep in mind that not everyone invests in everything, right? Let's say you're building in Web3. There are Web3 only VCs, and there are VCs who don't even touch Web3. So there's no point in wasting your time going and pitching to them, right? Because they won't, right? So it's important that you do your homework about who you're speaking with. Our previous investments and our thesis and as in what sort of companies do they invest in. So if you know that, you don't have to waste your time on talking to people that doesn't matter to you at that point, or your company at that point in time, right? So and especially if you're raising seed, you have an option to do it from angels, and you can also identify those angels that can add value to you otherwise as well, right? Let's say with the right connections, with the right guidance also, because most of the angels are going to be founders themselves, like most of the angels, so they'll be able to guide you. We say, right, like, there are two ways to learn. One is doing it yourself, and one is learning from others' mistakes. So if you have the right people to guide you, you can save a lot of time especially in Web3, because everyone might have gone through a very difficult journey if they are at some position today. So they'll be able to guide you through things that don't work, things that work, the challenges, how they tackle different challenges. So it can save you a lot of time. So I think it's very important that you get the right people on board. Another major decision that you have to take is whether to raise from angels or from VCs. Because both of them have a different agenda or a different goal when it comes to investing. Like, for example, VCs are not investing their money. That is something that people need to realize. They raise money from people, like, who have more money, other investors, and they are working for them, right? So most of the VCs have a fund cycle of 7 to 8 years. So from the day they raise, let's say $100 million, they're required to pay it back within 7 to 8 years. And they have certain targets also in mind, right? In order to, there are certain multiples that they'll be having in mind. So they typically look for, people call it moonshots, like the typical 100x, 200x sort of opportunities. So you as a business might be doing extremely well. You might be profitable. You will have absolutely good number of user base loving your product, but you always have to ask, is it a business that VCs are going to find lucrative? Got it. Let's say if you're not able, so they play the multiples game. For example, they only care about, they know that maybe 7 out of 10 investments are not going to work, or 5 out of but they are looking for that one Uber or like a one Facebook, that is what they're looking for. So they will invest only if they see that sort of a potential, if things go well, Right, they know things can go wrong, 99% things can go wrong, but they bet on that 1% of things going well and giving them that 100 to 1000x returns, because only then they can achieve their objectives. But on the other end, angels may not have these kind of goals. They might be looking to park their funds to beat inflation, or maybe to get more money than what other options are able to give to them, right? So it's important that you assess your business model and see if which one suits you, because the problem with raising VC funds, if you're not a business that is designed to give them that sort of a return, is that it can put you in a position where you are forced to do things that you don't want to do, right? Because you are obliged to give them this kind of a return after, and they have timelines also, right? Like and once they come on board, they will also have some sort of a control over the direction of the company. So you may not be able to run the business the way you want. I know personally companies that have started with very strong visions, and 6 months down the line they're like, we're building something that we didn't even wanted to build, because you are forced to do things that you as a founder don't want to do, right? Because and obviously you're not blaming anyone. That's the way they work, right? So they can sometimes a bad deal can break you as a business as well. So it's extremely important whom you take the money from. So make that decision and then optimize accordingly. Like focus, put your efforts and time on speaking to VCs, or put your efforts and time speaking to angels.
Yeah, correct. And so I think starting off a business, I think angels would be great.
Angels, they typically close the whatever deals very, very fast. VCs, of course, are very internally, they have to discuss and the thing is that they'll have a lot of other factors as well. For example, ഇപ്പോൾ ഒരു വലിയൊരു ഫണ്ടാണെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അതിൽ ഇത്ര എമൗണ്ടേ ചിലപ്പോൾ they will be allocating to one particular sector, right? ഇപ്പോൾ Web3, so 100 million they will be like 5 million is for Web3. So even though they love what you're building, if they've already crossed that 5 million, they will not put from the other 95 that they have, because that's how they operate, right? So it takes longer, the due diligence might be longer, cash like to hit the bank account, it will also be longer. So it depends on how much time you have, what timelines that you have. And maybe one thing to founders is that always have even though it's not fully in your control, have those timelines in your mind, as in I'm going to close this in next 3 months and dedicate 100% of your time for that. Like I think
just into funding.
Yeah, because funding is a full-time job. People need to realize that it's a full-time job. Like raising money for your business, it's a full-time job. So you have to completely be dedicated towards doing it. And also think about the future rounds, as in it's maybe someone who's not coming in today, don't completely ignore them. They might be coming in tomorrow, right? So sometimes whenever someone says no, it's not really a no, it's like not right now. They can potentially come in at a later point. Maybe something that you can typically do is have like a mailing list of VCs and give them a quarterly update. Every mail, every communication need not be a pitch. Got it? You can just randomly drop an email every 3 months or every end of every month saying that this is what we did in the last 1 month. This is how you're growing, and it need not talk about your valuation or the money that you need. Just keep them updated about your progress, basically, right? So that let's say 2 years down the line you want to do your Series A, they already know that what is the sort of journey that you've been going through and what is sort of progress that you've made. So don't completely ignore it. You can always automate it. Like let's say you create a mailing list, create a standard a mail for everyone, then just send it to everyone in the list, right? So build those relationships, because these people also internally talk Got it. So
yeah, true.
You will have to have them speak about you internally, talk about your progress. That will also be helpful at a later point as well.
And that communication is very important. Usually when we see these new born founders going and over promising a lot to these investors, they are super optimistic, and I've been there. They are super promising, and I've been there, and I know that I shouldn't do it, because the moment you over promise, you're obliged to give it back to the investors. So make sure that, see, either you're gonna lose all this money or you're gonna make a lot of money. So you have to be in middle and give them that, okay, this is what I want to do, this is how. So I think they will believe in you, and they'll also look at the system that you're running, and that robust system that you're having is very important. So talking of which, that is system building in a company. I think once you get the right team, once you get the right money, you should have a system up and running in your company. And it is not necessarily require in the beginning, but you'll have to build a robust system so that you can take your hands off, and the system itself will run. And that's very important. So building a system is also very challenging, and I often come across people telling me that, see, you will never be able to build an ideal system, which is okay. You will never be able to hire the right candidate, which is okay. This is part of the growth, of course.
So something which I do is I have a list of responsibilities that I need to have, and what every individual needs to have. And maybe once in 2 months, once in 3 months, you can just review it, and you can just start cutting off, because as you scale, you will only be managing the high level things, right? The day you start your business, you will be managing literally everything, including every support message that goes out, every push notification. But it is not possible, let's say, when maybe even 1 year down the line, 2 years down the line, once you have bigger things to take care of.
True.
And that is the whole purpose of having a team, right? So you need to have that faith and trust in whoever is coming on board. And just this is a good process to do, maybe once in 2 months or 3 months, where you strike off one of those responsibilities and then start assigning it to someone else, so that eventually, as you scale, you take care of the big picture stuffs, and then you have full visibility over who is taking care of other things within the company, right? But maybe not try to have everything in place right in the beginning, because initially the advantage you have as a startup is that you'll be able to move faster. You just focus on building what you want to build, right? But as you scale, it's important that you bring in those channels for right communication, channel for processing, reporting, and all that, so that as a big team, whenever you work, because otherwise people will have confusion over whom to report, where to report the status, who is responsible for managing them. So that happens maybe once you have maybe some 20 plus people sorts. But I think till that point, you can just stick together as a common team with the shared vision, just sitting and building, because it's extremely, there'll be 5 teams building the same thing, right? So
correct.
The way to get ahead is moving faster. So if you focus a lot on the process from day one, it might put you in trouble. So focus on building, but as you scale, start putting these things in place.
You shouldn't be a perfectionist when it comes to building a system in the beginning. You should always have that shared vision and go along with it, and make sure that you will have a system later on if you have more than 10 20
have that picture
people
in place, that this is how things should evolve, so that you can always optimize accordingly. The problem is that if you don't have any idea, then you'll be all over the place after maybe 1 year or so, right? Then you'll have no clue how to put things in place. So when you already have that, okay, this is the individual teams are going to look like this. So start developing that in your head, so that you can streamline or start putting things in place accordingly. But I think as you grow, it's very, very important, because otherwise no one will know let's say who was their manager, or who, let's say you want to leave, so let's say you want to take a 2-day leave, like whom do you don't want everyone to come to you, right? After a point, so you need to have that sense of hierarchy in the company, and not every decision needs to be taken by you. So it's
very important. In the beginning, I still remember we were behind systemizing the stuffs, and we were using ClickUp and all that organization tools, and which is pretty good when you want to document things and keep it in a one platform. It is good, but systemizing the whole process, I think it would be a little difficult in the beginning. And talking of which, I think scaling the whole system it's very important. Like once you have a team, once you have like number of teams, like more than 20 plus teams, you'll have to scale to different market, right? So I'm gonna bring in that book again, because 0 to 1 mentioned in the second segment of that book, it mentions about focusing on one niche. Or focusing on one niched market. Let's say if you're building something for the Kerala audience, let's focus on that, and then acquire the entire market, or just try to grab the whole market, and then you scale up your business, which is very good. So scaling your business, ബിഗിനിങ്ങിൽ തന്നെ അതിനെക്കുറിച്ച് ആലോചിക്കുന്നത് അതൊരു വലിയ മണ്ടത്തരമാണെന്നാണ് പുസ്തകം പറയുന്നത്. ആൻഡ് ഐ തിങ്ക് ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് സ്ട്രോങ്ലി ദാറ്റ്സ് എ ട്രൂത്ത്. If you really want to grow globally, you should always have a market, like a ground to play first, and experiment your product with.
I think ipo Web3 one of the biggest mistakes that I've personally seen is that, the industry itself is very narrative based as in, ഇപ്പം നമ്മൾ ഒരു പോയിന്റിൽ we were after NFTs, then ഒരു പോയിന്റിൽ we were after metaverse,
now we are behind
airdrops and all those, right? So I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs just keeping on building, for every narrative that comes up, right? Now you need to realize that, again, we are going back to that power of compounding. Right? You're missing out on that. Like after a cycle of 4 years, you'll be like, I built 8 products, but did we reach anywhere with any of them? No. Basically, you might be building for different sections of people with different backgrounds, people with different mindset, right? So you can't keep optimizing for short term, and that will definitely not work well for you in the long term. So like identify that one thing that you want to do, and whenever you start, have those failure points in place, as in, let's say it's not working, and definitely you shouldn't pursue it after a point, right? But you define it upfront that, let's say at this point, if I feel that it's not, if so and so let's say we all have our own reason why we start up, right? We believe in a certain market, or we believe in certain that things are going to play out a certain way, but tomorrow if we feel that it is not happening that way, that's a time to rethink, or let's say question about whether to continue or not. But you can't be like, right now this is the trend, so I'm building this, and tomorrow that is the trend, so I'm building that. So that will not take you anywhere. So decide on that one thing, and then put all the focus into that, right? Because you as a founder, maybe 3 or 4 people as a team, you don't have the bandwidth to build a number of things.
Correct.
So focus on one thing, establish yourself as a brand, and then look into duplicating it, expanding it, or whatever. But avoid this mistake of because you're missing out on that compounding factor as well. Like, let's say I keep bringing this example of a doctor. Like, there's a reason why a 30 years experienced doctor is getting paid way more than someone who is 3 years of experience. They're doing the same thing. But
they've done it for 30 years.
The fact that they've done it for 30 years gives them an advantage. And if you're keeping on doing different things every year, it will not give you any advantage, right?
I think as entrepreneurs, we often think, not we, I mean, of course, people who think that, okay, there is an exit. And I used to say that, okay, there is no exit. This is like a never-ending journey. Okay, they got this exit. That guy got this exit. Okay, I am a 4-time entrepreneur and I got 2-time exit. 4x exit. Well, it's a very glamorous thing to say, and of course, it's a glamorous journey if you find an exit. But that shouldn't be the one factor that push you to build a business or make money, and then if you keep that money factor in the front seat, then you're definitely gonna lose big time for sure. So exit comes, I don't know when, but there will be one.
Again, I think it's going back to that, what your business need, or maybe at a point what you as a person wants to do, right? Maybe some people have dreams of building a business. Let's say 5 years into the business, they've already done that, right? And then now maybe you don't feel the same way that you felt on day one, and exit is not a surety at that point, right? Like, let's say your business has to be extremely well. There has to be people who are willing to give you that kind of money. For example, I guess one of the biggest exits that we saw as growing up was WhatsApp, right? Because WhatsApp was becoming such a big threat to Facebook as a message. People stopped going to Facebook to text because WhatsApp was giving you that option. So they were able to disrupt something. They were adding value to people's lives. So they got an exit.
Right? It was $1 billion deal.
Yeah. I think till that point it was the largest deal that happened, right? So, but I don't think you can build towards an exit, or maybe if you start doing that, then of course you'll start optimizing for that, which may not be good for the business, I feel. So if it eventually happens, and if you feel that you want to exit, and then you find the right people to give you the right kind of money as well, right? There's multiple ways that needs to happen. So I think it's an just like starting, initially we mentioned about the founding a company, it should also happen organically, and I think this also needs to happen organically if you want.
To give a context of what exit means as an entrepreneur.
Exit means it's basically selling your company. It's for example, let's say you build WhatsApp as a business, and then you sell it to Facebook, right? Now you have two options. One is to completely stay away or completely move out, or sometimes you get in an arrangement of you still continue with the business as employees, like where you take care of whatever things that you've been taking, and there might be a transition phase as well where you take care of things, right? So then you remain as an employee to the company that bought you out, basically, right? So I think it's in simple terms, it's sell, and it need not always be a positive thing also. Sometimes businesses are pushed towards selling cheap, right? There might be competitions that sort of comes and kills you, and finally just for survival you end up in a position to just sell out your stake, right? So it's basically selling. It's about growing something and then selling, and all these 4x 3x entrepreneurs, what it basically means is they've sold multiple businesses in their life. They've sold, they've again built something. So that's how it is.
I think what if we were to sit down and work on a course where we're gonna take the whole audience from starting a company, registering, and then building a team,
like a small snip, small clips.
I think we should definitely do something like that. We are really intelligent, and even if I think that fact that you are.
I think more than the intelligence part, right? I think what is important is the fact that we have done things.
Correct. You experienced stuff.
The fact that we have seen the worst, we've seen the good, and I mentioned initially, right? I always focus on things that are in control and let's say something goes wrong. I don't spend time worrying. There is that feeling that comes in, but then
we all are humans, emotions.
But the immediate thing is what can be done. So because of that, I've been able to. I have that solution-oriented approach. So whenever someone comes to me, I'm like, okay, sit down, relax, and then now figure out what is the way ahead. How can we solve each of by breaking it down, and then you start solving each of them, right? So I think. And I think it's very important also, especially in Web3, right? You don't have a lot of people guiding the youngsters. So I think it's a good platform for, like both of us coming together and then guiding people in terms of what is the right thing to do, and most importantly, what is the things that they should not be doing, the mistakes that they should be avoiding, so that they have a smooth journey ahead.
I think we will be able to write the 30 mistakes of the founders.
Correct.
I hope this has been the longest and the most insightful podcast ever we shot in the studio, and looking forward to do the same. And of course, if we could build a course for you guys, it's gonna be amazing.
Yeah,
I think it's important that a need അവിടെ ഉണ്ട്, മാർക്കറ്റ് അവിടെ ഉണ്ട്.
That's what I was saying. There's genuine interest on the other side, and it's about helping those youngsters. It's also about giving back, right? After a point, and I think maybe I should make it like a thing. Whenever I come to Kerala, I record a session here.
Thank you so much, man.
Thanks for having me.
It's
looking
a
forward
pleasure.
to more.
It's a pleasure.
It's nice speaking to you as well. Thank you.
Lovely.